have to be really good at reading, because when we learn something about electricity, we put it in a book. And for you to learn about electricity and engineering, you have to be able to read that book. So it's really important to be able to read. And someday, if you become an engineer, you actually have to be able to tell other people how to do things, right? Because you are the one that understands how everything works. And there are people that work in the power plant that may not understand it. And so you have to be able to give them instructions on how to do that. Well, what are some ways that we give other people instructions? Yes, ma'am. What are some ways we give people instructions?
You can tell them what to do.
That's right. So you need to be able to speak really well, right, to people and tell them what to do. What are some other ways that we have to communicate with people?
You have to.
How about what I just did up here, right? I had to be able to write. That's right. So writing is also really important. If you want to. Did you have another one? Counting. That's right. You have to be able to count really well, especially to count to 1 billion. Do you know how long it would take you to count to 1 billion?
3 years.
It'd probably be a really, really long time, right? And all you'd be doing is counting the whole time.
2 years.
It's a lot. It's a lot of counting. That's right. 32 years. So I figured we could have everybody line up and they could try the little electric motor that I have here. But first I wanted to see if anybody had any questions.
Remember, questions, not comments, okay? Questions, not comments.
So let's start with you.
Why do you have to have your suit?
Why do I have to have my suit on? That's a really good question. So remember when we talked about being very safe at a power plant? Power plants have really big machines, okay? And my suit protects me from things that can be really, really hot or things that could catch on fire. This is actually called a fire-resistant suit. So if you actually put fire next to it, it wouldn't catch on fire for a really long time. So that's really important, right? Really important.
How do you make the electricity?
How do I make the electricity? Well, as we talked about earlier, it's when we move a magnet by a coil. And that coil has electrons in it, and that's actually what makes the electricity flow. Just like what my motor shows here. Yes, ma'am?
Why do you have shoes?
Why do I have shoes? Well, that's actually a really good question. So these shoes are actually safety shoes. These actually have a hard toe. So I could stand up and I could stomp on it really, really hard. But it has a hard toe so that I don't hurt my toes. And that's because some of our machines are on really big wheels out at the power plant. And those really big wheels could really hurt my foot if I didn't have a hard toe. So that's why I wear safety shoes. Question?
Do you work at night?
Do I work at night? Very good question. Usually I do not work at night. I work during the daytime. But my power plant has people there all the time, day and night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Because if you have to wake up in the middle of the night and say you have to go downstairs or go to the bathroom, what happens if you flip that switch at nighttime and the light didn't come on? It'd be very dangerous. So it would be gone, because if we didn't have the power plant on in the middle of the night, we wouldn't have electricity and we could hurt ourselves at night. So it's very important to have electricity around all the time for our safety. So we have people at our power plant that work every day of the year. So on Thanksgiving Day, when everyone's having dinner, we actually have people that are working at our power plant to make sure that that electricity is on for us on Thanksgiving. There's very dedicated people that make sure we have that.
Even on Christmas?
Christmas too. Christmas too, yep, every holiday. Every holiday. Sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes it can be hard. Yes, sir?
How do you make that work?
How do I make that work? Well, it's very simple. There's 2 batteries that provide the electricity that then turn this coil around a magnet. Very neat, huh? Yes, sir? It wouldn't work. Well, sometimes lights don't work. And when they don't work, we call those a power outage. And those are really bad in our business, right? Because electricity is something that we use for our safety, right? To be able to see at night. Some people have machines that help them with their health. And so when we have a power outage, it's very, very important that we get the lights on as soon as possible so that that electricity can keep people safe. Another question?
My grandpa, my great-great-grandpa, he used to make stuff, electricity, then is going wrong.
Oh yeah? That's really good. So we've known how to make electricity for about 150 years.
What?
That's it. Yep, so only since about the year 1850 have we known how to make electricity. Before then, we didn't really know how to make it. So it's not all that old, being able to do something as simple as this. Yes, sir.
If a fire gets on your clothes, will it hurt you?
It could still hurt me, but these clothes will help make it not as bad. So this isn't a fireproof suit. It's called a fire resistant suit. But the idea is that it allows me time to get away from the fire or from something hot before it hurts me seriously. Question? Any more questions? How about back there? No? No question? All right, how about you? You have a question?
One time, my house just got all the electricity out, and then the electricity went back.
Yeah, so it's not all that much fun, right, when there's no electricity in our house, right? We can't play video games or watch TV or even in many cases,
Or you can play games. Like
you can play board games, right? Because board games don't run on electricity, that's right.
Actually, my DS sometimes because it works when all lights are off.
Well, yeah, that's right, because the DS has a battery, right?
Yeah, and the lights it's getting so dark.
That's right, that's right. Sometimes lightning. So what is lightning? Anybody tell me what lightning is? How about you, Vincent?
It's electricity that the clouds make.
That's right. That's right. That's all lightning is. It's electricity, but it's a whole lot of electricity, right? It's actually electricity when it goes through the air. That's what electricity looks like. That's kind of neat. You have a question?
I know. How do you protect your face from fire?
How do I protect my face from fire? Well, that's a really good question. So I'm not around fire a lot. I just want to make sure that we're doing things as safely as possible. So there's not a lot of opportunity for me to be around fire, but when there is, I have my safety glasses that protect my eyes. I also have what's called a face shield, okay, which is actually a much larger piece of plastic that covers my whole face to make sure that I don't get burned.
Do you guys work outside or inside?
Well, most of my job, because it's my job to read and understand and design things, I spend most of my time inside. But the people that operate the power plant, the people that have to go out and turn valves and turn on equipment, they spend a lot of time outside, a lot of time. So we have winter versions of these suits too, for very, very cold weather. Question?
My kitchen lights, electricity goes off, and my oven and all my stuff where I cook, and the electricity continues in the dark, and I never comes on again.
Well, that's bad if it never comes on again,
Yeah,
right?
but the cooking stuff for you, it works, but the light didn't go on ever again.
Oh, yeah, so in that case, so sometimes it's not the electricity that goes off, it's actually the light bulb that breaks, right? Or the oven that breaks,
Well,
and that could be
there's
it.
a lot of crack on my lights, so I don't know what's going on with it.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, maybe if you change the light bulb, that would fix it. How about the last question before we start the motor? Go ahead. Well, lightning is a type of electricity called static electricity. So what happens is if you rub things together, like if you went home and you took a balloon and you rubbed it on your head and then made your hair stand up, That's called static electricity. Or sometimes if we rub our feet on the carpet and then we touch somebody and it shocks them, that's called static electricity. And it's the same idea. We're just running things that are magnetized past each other, like the carpet and the sole of my shoe. And we're making a different kind of electricity. But that's how that happens, is up in the clouds, all the water in the clouds actually have friction against each other, and that's how they make lightning. All right, so how about everybody lines up and we can spend just a minute. I'll set it right over here on this table. And then we can show everybody how.
Okay, guys, let's not